Hello and welcome to the Language Acquisition Podcast. This is episode number 6. I'm Kunal and today we are going to be talking about the concept of speaking your target language from day one. Now, should you or should you not speak your target language from day one? The opinion in the language learning community is really divided on this. There are some people who agree that it's not a good idea at all to speak from day one because this can mess up your pronunciation, and there are people on the other side of this camp who say that speaking is an ability that's different from reading and writing, so you really need to learn how to speak from day one. Now, I'm not going to be taking any sides in this argument, but if you do want to speak since day one, there are some things that you really need to work on, and you really need to keep this in mind if you're going to speak from day one. First, let me talk about the disadvantages of speaking from day one. The argument made against speaking from day one is that you can be used to speaking in an incorrect manner or you can have bad pronunciation. When you learn a new language, you're exposed to phonemes or you're exposed to certain basic sounds that you can't hear properly, and you really need to train yourself to hear these sounds properly. Now, if you can't hear these sounds properly, the chances that you can say these sounds properly is close to zero. So the camp that says you shouldn't speak from day one say that you need to spend time listening to your target language and understanding the pronunciation before you're sure of being able to reproduce the same sounds. So what they do say is spend a good chunk of time just listening, and once you start listening, you'll be able to eventually reproduce these sounds. But if you speak from day one, you'll be using your there'll be a lot of influence from your native language if you speak from day one, is the argument that's made. Now let's talk about speaking your target language from day one and the benefits it does have. If you speak from day one, you are developing the ability to speak. Now, speaking is an ability that's completely different from reading or listening, because reading and listening are passive activities. You can reach a stage where you can understand everything that you're listening to, or you can read and understand most of the text, and you're still unable to express, you're still not able to express yourself. You can definitely reach that stage if you let the other abilities skyrocket and let the ability of speaking stagnate. That is a big risk that you run if you never speak from day one. So how do you go about speaking from day one? The first and the most important thing you need to keep in mind is do not construct any original sentences if you don't have the help of a teacher or a native speaker. When you just start learning your target language, you're really prone to making a lot of errors, and it's inevitable that you will make some errors when you just start off, but you want to keep these errors as few as possible. So when you start making sentences, make sure that you have a teacher or a native speaker to guide you and tell you whether or not the sentence you formed is correct or incorrect. Now, what do you do if you really don't have any teacher or a native speaker? Don't lose hope. What you still could do is you can repeat the sentences that are originally there in your target language, and later you can try and find out the meaning through a translation software. Then you can try and repeat those sentences, and then you can upload a video of the same, and you can solicit feedback from a native speaker. So all hope is not lost if you don't have a teacher or a native speaker to guide you. But just keep in mind, when you're getting started, do not make original sentences without the guide of a native speaker or a teacher. Otherwise, you'll be ingraining some really bad habits in yourself, which will be difficult to undo as you go further down the road. So, I've not taken any sides on whether you need to speak your target language from day one or whether you need to wait a while. Now you have the pros and cons given to you, and it's up to you to decide what course of action to take. I hope this video was useful to you. Please continue listening to this series, and I'll see you in the next video.